The tragic events of September 11, 2001, left an indelible mark on history, claiming nearly 3,000 lives and altering global politics and society. While the official narrative blames the attacks on 19 al-Qaeda terrorists led by Osama bin Laden, a sprawling conspiracy theory has emerged, suggesting that the real story is far more complex and sinister. This theory weaves together elements of government complicity, false flag operations, and cover-ups, creating a narrative that has captivated skeptics for over 2 decades. The prelude to tragedy. The story begins with a backdrop of increasing tension between the U.S. and various Middle Eastern entities. Throughout the 1990s, Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda had already made its presence known through attacks on U.S. embassies in Africa and the bombing of the U.S. coal. However, according to conspiracy theorists, these incidents were just the tip of the iceberg, part of a larger strategy by shadowy figures within the U.S. government to justify an impending war. The theory posits that key members of the Bush administration, particularly Vice President Dick Cheney and Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, were deeply connected to the military-industrial complex, a network of defense contractors and oil companies with vested interests in the Middle East. These powerful entities allegedly needed a catalyst to launch wars that would secure their economic dominance in the region, leading to the orchestration of a massive false flag operation. The alleged inside job. On the morning of September 11, 2001, 4 commercial airliners were hijacked. According to the official story, 2 planes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, one into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and the 4th, United Flight 93, crashed into a field in Pennsylvania after passengers attempted to retake control of the aircraft. However, conspiracy theorists argue that these events did not unfold as we were led to believe. Central to their argument is the collapse of the Twin Towers and the subsequent fall of World Trade Center Building 7, which was not struck by a plane. They claim the building's collapses bore the hallmarks of controlled demolition, pointing to the near freefall speed at which they fell and the presence of what they believe is molten metal, indicative of thermite, an explosive used in demolitions. Theorists also question the official account of the Pentagon attack, suggesting that the damage caused was inconsistent with the plane crash. They argue that the relatively small entry hole in the Pentagon and the lack of significant debris from the aircraft indicate that the building might have been struck by a missile or an internal explosion rather than American Airlines Flight 77. Moreover, the mystery surrounding Flight 93 has led to speculations that it was shot down by a U.S. military jet to prevent it from reaching its intended target, possibly the White House or the Capitol. Supporters of this theory cite conflicting reports from eyewitnesses and the unusual spread of debris over a large area. The cover-up and suppression of evidence. In the aftermath of 9/11, the U.S. government established the 9/11 Commission to investigate the attacks. However, conspiracy theorists argue that the commission was nothing more than a whitewash, designed to protect those truly responsible. They point to the omission of key testimonies and evidence, such as the accounts of first responders and survivors who heard explosions in the buildings before they collapsed, and the lack of transparency regarding the collapse of WTC-7. One of the most contentious pieces of alleged evidence is the put option trading that occurred in the days leading up to 9/11. A put option is a financial bet that a stock's price will fall. In the days before the attacks, an unusually high number of put options were placed on United Airlines and American Airlines, the 2 airlines whose planes were hijacked. Conspiracy theorists claim that this is evidence of foreknowledge of the attacks, possibly by insiders with connections to the financial and political elite. Additionally, theorists highlight the Bush administration's supposed stonewalling of investigations into Saudi Arabia's potential involvement in the attacks. Despite 15 of the 19 hijackers being Saudi nationals, the Saudi government's role was downplayed, leading some to believe that powerful interests sought to protect the kingdom due to its strategic and economic importance to the U.S. The geopolitical aftermath. The theory extends to the geopolitical consequences of 9/11, particularly the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. In the wake of the attacks, the Bush administration quickly moved to invade Afghanistan, citing the Taliban's harboring of Osama bin Laden as justification. However, conspiracy theorists argue that the invasion was pre-planned and served broader strategic interests, such as securing pipeline routes and establishing a military presence in Central Asia. The subsequent invasion of Iraq in 2003 is also scrutinized. The Bush administration claimed that Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction and had ties to al-Qaeda, allegations that were later proven to be false. The theory suggests that the Iraq War was part of a larger agenda to control the region's oil reserves and redraw the Middle East's political landscape, fulfilling long-standing neoconservative goals outlined in documents such as the Project for the New American Century, PNAC. The enduring power of the 9/11 conspiracy theory. Despite the extensive evidence supporting the official narrative, the 9/11 conspiracy theory continues to endure. This persistence can be attributed to a deep-seated distrust in government institutions, the secrecy surrounding intelligence agencies, and the complex and often contradictory nature of the events themselves. For many, the theory represents more than just an alternative explanation for 9/11. It is a lens through which to view broader concerns about government overreach, the erosion of civil liberties, and the manipulation of public perception. The Patriot Act, mass surveillance, and the perpetual state of war that followed 9/11 are seen by conspiracy theorists as part of a larger agenda to consolidate power and control over the populace. In the years since 9/11, the theory has evolved and splintered into various sub-theories, with some focusing on specific aspects of the attacks, such as the role of Israel's Mossad or the idea that the planes were holograms. However, the central theme remains the same, that the official story is a cover-up, and that the truth has been deliberately hidden from the public. Conclusion. The 9/11 conspiracy theory, while widely debunked, has become a modern myth, reflecting the anxieties and uncertainties of the post-9/11 world. It serves as a reminder of the power of narrative, the dangers of misinformation, and the human tendency to seek patterns and meaning in the face of chaos. Whether one believes in the conspiracy or not, its impact on our collective consciousness is undeniable, and it continues to shape discussions about truth, trust, and the nature of power in the 21st century.